What's up, everyone? Welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod slash Chicks and Salsa. How is everybody's week going? We've got Candy next to me and then Jen on the end. What y'all's week been like so far?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I can't complain. It's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I,
How about
I
yours?
have, I think since probably the last 6 weeks, I have picked up reading a couple of books a week. And I will say, I forgot how much better my life is with a book in my hand. So I'm about 12 books in over this 6 week period. I picked out two more today. So that's kind of been the excitement in my life the last couple of weeks. Um, I traveled some and went down to Florida, which we'll talk to that about that here in a little bit, but had quite a bit of downtime in the airports because I live in the middle of nowhere, which means it takes at least two flights to get anywhere that I want to go. So I was able to read while I was in the airport, and that's awesome. So put your phone down, pick up a book. That's my best advice for the week.
Love it. What's been your favorite book?
Oh my gosh. So I'm such a murder mystery type of reader. I mean, what I watch on TV besides sports, I figured as well in book form. I'm looking for it right now. I have this one. It's a sequel. Sorry, my ring light. It's a sequel to The Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And this is actually a book that I picked up from Kennedy. So it's in the young adult section. And it was really interesting. She solved a murder that happened at her high school, and this is the sequel. I'm pretty excited for that one. And then there's another one by Erin Lindsay. It's actually a series that I'm reading. This one is called A Silver Shooter, and it
Mhm.
is about a maid in the late 1800s that turns a Pinkerton detective, and that's pretty exciting too.
Neat.
So I'm gonna plug one of my friend's books because she also sponsors
Absolutely.
us sometimes. Her name is hold on. I'm not gonna give her real name. Let me pull up her because I'm blanking on it right now.
Oh, right, her handle.
Her handle. Um mhm. Carter
While you look
Pugh
for that,
is her handle.
what is it?
And Carter Pugh, Carter, and then
Okay.
Pugh, Pugh. And she has several books out. One of them is Death Knell, but it's a three-part series murder or like murder mystery stuff. It's really
Oh, I'm gonna
good.
have to check that out.
And I'll give her a shout out because her other business sponsors us on occasion. So
Oh, I
yay.
love that. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so I guess we should start with the topic at hand: college football playoffs. One of our members up here actually got to do media for the national game this week. So, Candy, we can turn it over to you and tell us what it was like.
So we didn't get credentials for the actual game, but we got credentials
Right.
for to go down and watch. We didn't get down for practice, but we did go to the coaches' um, press conferences on Sunday, and so we got to listen to Kurt Signetti and Mario Cristobal talk about the differences. Um, you know, Indiana's season has been unbelievable. Like
Right.
thinking that they went undefeated, that hasn't been done in football. And then the other storyline was, well, would Miami win at home because the college team has never played on their home turf for the championship, and obviously one was going to win and one wasn't going to win. Um,
Right.
I have to give credit. It was a good fought game. Indiana blew out its opponents the previous two bowl games. So
Right.
everybody wondered, how was Miami going to do? Were they going to get blown away, or was it going to be a good game? And it ended up being a pretty good game. I mean, they lost by 6. This is the trophy. We got to take pictures
Very
with it.
cool.
And of course, then I had to give Indiana actually won the game. If anybody didn't know, I mean, we all know, but there's their helmet. And, it's kind of interesting because one of the girls I went to high school with, her son played last year on the team. He
Oh
graduated,
wow.
so he got to be down there. But he's like, he got to be part of the growing and the growth of the program. Because let's face it,
Right.
Indiana football was never known for. It's always been known as a basketball school.
Right. Absolutely. And I'll say this, we could see the growth last season. Like I saw the vision. I didn't know that they were going to go undefeated, obviously, which is just incredible. But even last year, I remember bringing up Indiana. I was like, this feels strange because it's football season, but and what an incredible run for their coach. Like, yes, obviously you got to give credit to everybody else because it's such the roster size, the coaching size, it's so much bigger than a lot of other sports. So there's a lot of people that go into that. But to go from worst to first, just an incredible run. And you did it in 2 years, like incredibly. It's just incredible.
Exactly. Jen, what were you going to say?
Oh, I'm being good.
You said you're being good.
It was really cool to be down there and see, and talk to the coaches and stuff, and just listen to what they had to say and how real they were and how, like, Kurt's like, I did this. We brought in players. They stayed with him, and that's one of the things I think would be one of the takeaways. I mean, now we have heard that, like, for Mendoza's brother did enter the transfer portal. He's going to Georgia Tech next year, but they had brought in a quarterback from TCU for next year. The other storyline was Mendoza. They're actually from Miami. So he wanted to come on as a walk-on. The previous coach before Mario didn't let him. And so that's when he eventually, went to Indiana, but he comes back home. He gets to play on his home field, on what he grew up watching, on his home field. Great story. His mom has MS. Like, she was there at the game. Dad was there. They shot, the times that the TV cameras went to them. It was just a good, feel-good story, Really excited for him and his family.
I want to shout out Miami, though, because, you bring up TCU, and a few years ago we saw Ohio State and TCU in the national championship game, and TCU ended up getting blown out. I think it was 63-6, something like that. It was really rough game to watch. And hey, shout out to both of those teams for not allowing Ohio State to get another one, because I am sick of them. But, I didn't know what the competitiveness was going to be like for this game, because Indiana just was so dominant those other two games at the first part of the playoffs. And so, I wasn't sure what was going to happen for Miami. And then also in that same takeaway, I want to talk about Ole Miss a little bit, because Ole Miss almost beat Miami. Like, it was a very close game, went into overtime. I think it's interesting that Lane would decide to move on from a program that is this good. So already, so there was a lot of, like, outside storylines that contributed to this. And I thought it was a really good game. Like you said, it wasn't a great game all the way through, but that second half was really good.
Yeah, the first half was not pretty at all, but
Right.
Like, I had it in my mind. I don't know why. I kept going back to the ACC championship 2 years ago with SMU and Clemson, and seeing the players going into the tunnel at halftime from SMU, and just this look. And I even went on Facebook Live that night, and I was like, this first half was not good, but this second half, get ready for some pretty fun football. And I was right. And that's kind of how I felt last night.
But I would say, you talk about the first half not being good, but I think the first half was just a defensive battle. Like, that's where you really saw the defenses play well. We think of football and we think of offense. And the one I want to shout out to Carson Beck, and because I think he's gotten a raw deal at times. And he came out and he said how even though Georgia, he won the championships with Georgia, 2 of them, that this year meant more to him because he was in such a dark place after he had surgery last year that he, he was in a dark place. Georgia didn't want him. Miami wanted him. He came to Miami and they all rallied around him, and how he really thinks this year molded him more than at the other 2 years that he won championships. So just to, what he's gone through. I'm sorry?
What do we think this performance does for his draft stock?
I don't know that I would put the interception on him. He's thrown a couple in some of the other games. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. It'll be interesting to see where he lands. But I think he will be drafted.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's a first rounder, but I definitely think he's a second rounder. Now, there was a lot of injuries going on in the NFL right now, even still. So, that may play a role in his draft stock as well, more than necessarily even his own performances in the playoffs. I will say he looked really great in that game against Ole Miss. I don't want to give all the credit to him in the game against Ole Miss because there was some other factors, but that was a really great performance for him. And then that fourth quarter last night was really incredible as well. So, he could slip into the first round, but I would say like late first round possibly. And it would be to maybe a team like the Chiefs, who have gone through their quarterbacks like crazy, and they may just go ahead and pick one up in the late round of the late portion of the first round, depending. I can't remember exactly where they are in the draft order, but I could see something like that happening. So, and that may work out for him even better.
I'm going to guess more fourth or fifth round. I think there's some other talents, and I think there's other needs that a lot of teams have. That I think, based on my husband and his resources, we're thinking fourth or fifth round for Carson Beck. So you never know.
Okay, well, you got him much lower than I do. I think the bottom for him is probably third round, and I'm not going to put that necessarily on his talent, but the need for quarterbacks in the NFL currently, I think he'll go much higher than maybe what he's worth.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see where he lands.
I could see him actually going a little bit higher, because I was going to say Miami's been doing pretty good with their quarterbacks the last couple of years. Like, I personally, and I know I have an Alabama quarterback, I would take a Miami. I'd take an ACC QB over an Alabama quarterback. I'm just saying. Or definitely a Big Ten. That's just me. But that may change as the Alabama's program changes and, becomes a little bit more. But
I think Alabama's going to be okay once they, it's going to take a little time for them to continue to fall into their flow. But I think Alabama's going to be fine. I like the coach that they have right now. I don't know that he's necessarily a Hall of Famer, but it's yet to be seen. He's somebody that I think he has done the best with what he can in the moment, because when you take over somebody's program like Nick Saban's, you're never going to fill those shoes. No. It's never going to happen. It's like going to Tennessee women's basketball and taking over the program there. It sounds like a coveted job, but you're taking over Pat Summitt's program, and same for, clearly what we're going to talk about a little bit of Blue Bloods real quick. Clearly what Duke and UNC went through, replacing Roy Williams and replacing Coach K. Like, that's just something that you're never going to be that. So you have to find your own identity in that.
Right.
And I think he's capable.
And I'll say this, like, this past summer at kickoff, Coach Cristobal had a little different aura about him. So I didn't want to say anything then, because last time I said something to a coach who had a little bit of different aura, it ended completely opposite of how I thought it was going to. So I zipped it. I wasn't trying to jinx anyone this time. And hey,
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Like there's things that go into that you can't ever account for. Coaches leaving, students
Mhm.
leaving. There's a lot that goes into that a season doesn't necessarily play out the way it should have, the way it looks on paper.
Exactly. 100%. Like, okay, I won't make that.
Jen, what is your topic tonight?
I was just gonna say, so I was really impressed by the NFL games this weekend.
Okay.
Um, we had what, 2 games in blinding snow,
Right.
and
Oh,
I'll say this, hats off to Coach Ben Johnson. We all knew he was gonna excel as a head coach. He waited until the right team came to him because he had been highly sought after, highly coveted for what, 5 seasons, and he kept like he'd interview, but they were practice interviews for him. I mean, and I hate to say that, and I'm not shortchanging it, but it wasn't a right fit for him because I'm sure he had been offered positions at several teams. I'm sure we offered him a position.
right.
And but he with what he's done, and I make no bones about this, I'm not a Caleb Williams fan. I feel like how he came out of the draft and how he refused to give his um, medical papers and refused to do a physical was completely out of line. And I thought he was way too big for his britches. I still have that opinion. Not releasing his medical history, though, and it came out earlier this year, so I'm not spilling anything. That the head coach last year for the Bears knew he was dyslexic, but made no changes to his coaching approach. What
Oh, and
Ben
that's
Johnson,
terrible. That's
right?
terrible.
Yeah, it
Yeah, that's
is.
awful.
What Ben Johnson's done is he's changed his coaching approach. He's
Mhm.
worked with Caleb, and he's made Caleb really start to acclimate. So hats off. Like, as someone who does have a learning difference and is somewhat dyslexic, I won't say somewhat, but is dyslexic, like I have to fight hard at times. They
Mhm.
like it's hard. So hats off and thanks for carrying. And my advice to Caleb, because we all know some of these guys will watch our show, like even if they're not live. Caleb, use your platform the exact way Michael Phelps did. Michael Phelps made no bones about the fact that he has ADHD and swimming changed his life
Right.
and saved his life. Michael Phelps is the most highly decorated Olympian ever.
Right.
Use your platform because the platform you have right now is so important and so impressionable to these kids who are not getting the help and the resources that they need.
Right. And
Because let's
I think he's a great example of, being different, and that's okay.
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the way people have talked about, some of his endorsement deals. I'm not even going to jump into that. But,
right.
and then also when he was in college, I remember him losing a big game and him going to the sidelines, and like he was hugging his parents and he was crying, and people just ripped into him. And I literally, as an athlete, I can remember losing and doing the same thing, running to
Mhm.
my dad and crying. It's like, there's nothing wrong with that. So it
No,
doesn't matter if
no.
you're male or female. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So
Yeah,
I, it was very obvious, like you said, whenever he got drafted by the Bears, that he didn't want to be there. And
he
so
didn't.
I'm glad that he has worked through that and they've built around him, because they have never really done that. When's the last time they did that? Like built
Right.
around what they had.
And they were even voting for him beforehand because when we did the trade and got rid of DJ Moore, still mad about that. I actually forgot the other day that Brian Burns was playing for us.
You're like,
I was like,
judge.
oh yeah, Brian Burns. It's like, oops. But he, like, when we did that trade, I was so mad. But they were voting for Caleb Dunn. And then Deontay Foreman, when they got Deontay Foreman, um, Caleb's rookie season. I don't know where Deontay is now, but he's a great running back. I would take him back in a hot minute. However, maybe we'll get him back now that Rico's probably not coming back. But Like they've been building, and that's what I like. That's the Andy Reid approach. Because the last piece of the Chiefs puzzle was Patrick.
Right, yeah. All right, so I'm going to run through the scores over the NFL games this past weekend. We had 2 overtime games. The first one started with the Bills versus the Broncos. Broncos win this one 33-30, and then the following day, Sean McDermott is let go. Do we think this is the right decision?
No, this was Sean McDermott's easiest, best coaching year, honestly. And I was watching the game. I did not have a dog in this fight whatsoever. But I feel like the Broncos got a little help. Just a little bit. Not a lot. Just a little bit. There are a couple of calls that were not made that should have been made. There were a couple of calls that were made that should not have been made. And not slamming the Broncos because I don't mind the Broncos. They used to be my AFC team. But then 2015 happened, so you know. And then they hired Sean Payton, and we all know how I feel about Sean. But
right,
you know, I feel like they got a little teeny tiny bit of help, but I don't feel like it was the right decision. Even Bills fans are upset about that. A lot of Bills fans were upset about it.
There's players that were upset about it.
Oh yeah,
right. I personally don't feel like that last interception was an interception. That's just my opinion on it. But there's certainly more people out there that know the game better than me, so I could be wrong. But that was my opinion of how I saw it. However, there were, that wasn't his first interception of the game that got them to that point. So 6-1, half a dozen another.
Oh, yeah.
Sean,
that's actually not what I was talking about.
Well, that was just the one that I saw.
Oh yeah, no, that's been a hot topic.
Right. And then them letting Sean go, I don't know if it was the right decision, but I knew it was going to happen immediately. As the fourth quarter was winding down, and it was obvious that we were going to go to overtime, in my head, I was just like, yeah, they don't win this, he's out. He's done. Because they've already gone through and cleaned house when it comes to the coaching staff with everybody except Sean. So
True.
I wasn't surprised by that move. I don't know that it was necessarily the right move, but I mean, right or wrong, he's not there anymore.
Exactly.
All right, in the next game, now this one was interesting. I just want to shout out the Niners fans real quick. I waited a couple of days before I actually said this because a lot of y'all are my friends. Came rolling in my inbox, worried about what Cowboys fans were doing before this game. And honey, y'all should have been focused on the game at hand because you scored 6 points. And Seattle scored 41.
Who saw that coming?
Nobody.
No one.
No one. No, I did not expect that whatsoever. So it's not something that anybody could have predicted. Like you could have predicted Seattle was going to win, but not by 35 points. Like you could not have predicted that. Now, if there was a coach that maybe should be let go of, I don't know that I'm the biggest fan of Shanahan. There we go. All right, next game. We had the Patriots versus the Texans. Patriots win this one 28-16. Jen, obviously you can talk about this one because the quarterback there is from your college that you're such a big fan of. But I just want to shout out Mike Vrabel real quick. I'm so impressed with him. And I was impressed with him at Tennessee, of course. I wanted him in Dallas really, really bad. And obviously we knew that wasn't going to happen because Vrabel's not a yes man. So he went to the right spot and they look great.
They do. I'll give you, yeah. And I'll say this. I'm not a Patriots fan. I am a Drake May fan. I have never made any bones about that. But also just watching him in college with only a couple of surrounding key players. Okay. Because the coaching staff, I love Roy Williams. I mean, not Roy. Mac Brown. Sorry. Got my coaches.
No, we love Roy Williams too.
Yeah, right. Wrong sport. My bad. But I don't know what happened with Mac, but you could see the greatness in Drake. And yes, I could watch more Drake than non-ACC schools, right? Because we don't get a lot of SEC games in Charlotte. We just don't. We get some, like if it's national or whatever. But and I've been saying for years, and you ladies can vouch, Drake May is him. Drake May is he. Like he is that dude. He
I
is
like it.
that draft class. Patrick, Lamar in some circles. I mean, Lamar's more of a stats guy than and I'm not. That's no knock because Lamar's great, but like Cam kind of made me mad earlier in the season when he was trying to like downplay what Drake's good. Cam, he grew up watching you. He probably went to some of your football camps. Shut it.
Right.
This kid literally, this young man, sorry, to be his mother, I'm old enough. His kid literally comes from Carolina athletic royalty. Like has all of his siblings played sports, play sports there. They've all gone pro at some level. And just watching him, you could see the eliteness. So for people, I remember when Dre was drafted to the Pats, I was talking to a couple of Pats fans who didn't really know him because they don't live in like ACC area, viewing area.
Right.
So they could just see what Carolina did. And I was like, no, you're wrong. You're going to be really, really happy. Well, then last year, Coach Mayo, he wasn't ready to be a head coach yet. And I'm not trying to be mean, but he wasn't. Because we see that. And the Pats didn't make a ton of offseason moves. They really didn't. Coach variable.
It is. I'm going to say this, and this is something I say all the time on all our shows. Coaching matters. Coaching matters so much. And Mike Vrabel is a culture builder. He's somebody. Yes. He's incredible. So, he made the biggest difference there. Don't get me wrong. You need a quarterback, obviously, and he's great. He needed the development. And it's coming from Mike Vrabel. His ceiling is out there. Like he's definitely going to be somebody. I don't know that he's quite there yet. He's top 10.
No, he's not there yet.
He's back of the top 10, 9 or 10. But I think he could crack top 5.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I think that I think he will. But Coach Vrabel has been such a great coach. He has really built that culture. I believe he's a Belichick disciple. Isn't he? Isn't he off the Belichick coaching tree?
Let me look.
Mm-hmm.
He is. I thought so. And so,
so the perfect place for him to be was New England.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I remember him in Dallas. I know what he is.
But I just think, I don't know, like, I think it's like for people to try to downplay who Drake currently is and who he will be in the future really burns my butt because I don't get that passionate about a player often.
Right.
Truly. Like, I mean, I could run into Drake May on the streets and he would probably not remember me. I interviewed him 2 or 3 times, had great conversations with him, but guaranteed. He's been interviewed by a lot more people than just me. So, I'm just really impressed by him.
So Orlando is a friend of mine. He listened to me when I was on 806 Sports. I'm going to read his comment real quick. He said, great ending to the NCAA football season. The SEC next season will be a Royal Rumble, while the other conferences will have 1 or 2 good teams who will make the finals. The SEC is the monster that no one wants to acknowledge. Bend the knee. Thank you, Orlando. I think people have acknowledged the SEC so much before the expansion of the playoffs that people got sick of hearing about SEC football. And so that's why they don't acknowledge it now. I think SEC football is also, it's not just SEC football that's at the top of things right there in football. It's, you transcend it to basketball as well.
Mhm.
On the guys or the women's, really any given night, it is a tough competition. So they're a power conference for a reason, and I agree. I acknowledge. Now, the last game of the NFL playoffs this past weekend, we had the Rams versus the Bears. The Bears, excuse me. Rams win this one in overtime, 20-17. And Orlando also a Rams fan, so definitely got to shout that out. I was concerned for Stafford in this game. He got sacked twice really quickly in the first quarter.
Mhm.
Ended the game with 4 sacks. He's old, man. Y'all got to protect your quarterback.
That's true.
That's what I want to see out of him out of the next round.
Did he provoke
Now
his O-line before the game started?
I don't know. I don't know, but he's old and he's had back injuries.
Right?
You know, like you got to protect him. Oh, and then we got Tiny in here. He said, SC fans stay saying this. The SEC is still a solid conference, but the Big Ten is top right now. In football, I agree. In football at the moment.
Yeah, and football.
But Tiny, it's
SEC
basketball
has a
season
couple-
now.
SEC has a couple of good basketball schools too. I say SEC has a little more. SEC for some reason, and Megan, we've discussed this before too. And sorry, Candy, because I can't remember if you were on that night or not. But and you're usually on that, so it's weird that I can't remember this. I assume you are. But they but the SEC has gets a lot of props for their women's college hoops.
Mhm.
Whereas like the ACC is a lot quieter about their women's college hoops, even though more players in the WNBA come from the ACC. And
This
Megan
past
told-
year, yeah, it was a record number from the ACC this past year, and it's a little different this year. They don't quite wrestling season. I don't watch it.
we don't watch wrestling. I'm sorry.
But Orlando does. Y'all should link up. Orlando loves wrestling. When it comes to on the women's side of things, I think 12 ladies went pro last year out of the ACC. So it was a record number. It was a ton of ladies that came out of the ACC, and that's huge. This year's a little different. It was a shakeup in things. We had some ladies from Notre Dame that left, not just Olivia Miles, but several of them. But Stanford's back. They're looking good again. There's been some other schools, some parity within the ACC. Now this year it's SEC's year though, on the women's side of things, and I think on the guys' side of things too. Like any given night, you got Vandy, Tennessee, Texas, OU. Alabama's good. Their men's basketball program is good too. LSU, not on the guys' side as much, but the women's. So there's quite a bit. Oh, Candy, do you have to jump out of here?
I am in a minute. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to do the wrap up real quick. The happy story, I guess. I got to go to Florida. And as you guys know, I travel quite a bit for sporting events, but this was actually the second time in my life that I've got to go to the beach. I got to go to the Gulf there at Naples, Florida. And Naples was gorgeous. I went for the National Scouting Combine. So this is the second biggest football combine in the country. If you don't get invited to the NFL Combine, it doesn't mean it's over. You can try and come to the National Scouting Combine. We had a ton of players that were, and I think this is the only combine that allows free agents to come. So if you go, you're not drafted, or you're drafted, you get cut, it's not over. You can still go to a combine and compete somewhere else. This year's one of their special speakers was Jeff Fisher. Y'all remember Jeff Fisher? He was a coach for LA there for a while. And he is now the commissioner of the AF1 League. So I think we're in double digits on the players that were signed to the AF1 League. There was not a ton of NFL scouts out there this year, but there have been before. So definitely think that as it continues to build, normally, or in the past, it was in Indianapolis, and it was usually the days before the NFL draft. So a lot of the scouts would hit the National Scouting Combine first, and then they slide over and they go to the NFL Combine. So obviously a massive difference in distance there. And they did it during the first week of January. It was the 5th through the 9th. We had a lot of JUCO guys, we had a lot of D2 guys, and then there was a ton of D1 guys there. There was even some people that had competed in the playoffs earlier. There was a James Madison University player. So if you, like I said, if you don't get invited to the NFL Combine, that doesn't mean your football journey is over. So if you have a chance and you want to continue your career in football and you're not sure where to go once that invite doesn't come from the NFL Combine, look into the National Scouting Combine, or I think it's Beyond Sports Network on Facebook. So I guess that'll wrap it up for us. Did y'all have anything else that you wanted to add?
Nope, I'm good.
I think I'm good right now, but thank you.
Always. Always want to shout out the Texas women's basketball team. So we had a young lady, a freshman, who had not played since November 19th, and everyone was talking about she might have to be a medical redshirt. Leah Crump came back Sunday night versus A&M. She had 12 points coming off of the bench in 21 minutes. Glad to see her back. And we'll see how this women's basketball season develops. It's getting real spicy. Texas lost last week. OU lost last week. I think we've only got 2 undefeated teams right now, UConn and Vandy. So we'll see how that goes. It's going to be, it's tough in the SEC. So we can end it with that one.
There you go.
All right. Good night, guys. We will see you back next week, same time. Ooh, Candy, you want to tell them what you'll be doing next week because you won't be on.
Oh, that's right. Next week, my husband and I are headed to the Senior Bowl. So we'll be going to practice. There's going to be scouts there. There's going to be a lot of talent there. They've announced some of the players that are going to be there. There's some big name players. So we're going to hope and see what we can get for sound bites, and you just never know. Excited.
Awesome. All right, guys, we will see you back next week. Oh, go ahead, Jen.
I was just going to say, and Candy, I'm blanking on Scott's book, but since we were talking about books earlier, I kept waiting for you to pipe in with it.
Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. And we got it out on audio, so you can get either the written book or the audio version.
All right, guys, we will see you back next week.